I have the privilege of sitting here with Kaitlynn Cates, one of the Boston Marathon bombing survivor. Kaitlynn, thank you so much for inviting me into your home.
You're welcome.
I want to start from where you're at right now. How are you doing as of today?
I'm doing really, really well. I've come a long way. It's definitely been a rocky road, lots of ups and downs, but I'm doing well. My recovery is pretty good. I've had 2 surgeries and I have 1 more in January, where they'll try to reconstruct my right calf. As you know, I lost 30% of my right calf.
And now, are you working right now?
I'm on short-term disability.
Okay.
Yes.
So how has that been, the road to recovery in that term?
You know, my whole world changed, obviously, especially working. I was a workaholic. I worked 2 jobs. So to not be working is very hard for me. I try to keep busy other ways. I volunteer a lot, but I was in sales. I built my own book of business, was used to meeting clients every day, going to the office, that kind of thing, interacting in a whole different way. And now since I'm on short-term disability until after my next surgery, I've kind of filled my time with, I work at a preschool, I volunteer at a soup kitchen, and then on Mondays I'm a brownie leader.
Nice. So you are making use of your time.
Yes, I feel like working with children at the preschool and then the brownie group is definitely a positive thing. It lightens everything up.
Going back to April 15th, can you take me to that day?
Yes, so April 15th, the day of the marathon, I was on an extended lunch break. I met Leo, my friend who runs a restaurant in the Back Bay. We met at the finish line when the first explosion went off. And the second explosion went off about 10 seconds later. Leo instantly knew that it was a bomb and he tried to cover me and said, "Stay down, stay down." And then he picked me up and carried me to a private alley into his car, because he's a private space, and rushed me to MGH. We drove down all kinds of one-ways because the emergency vehicle started coming. He rushed me there and they helped get me out. From what I understand, I was the first survivor at a hospital.
Did you know what was happening at the time? Did you know anything about your leg? Did you feel anything?
Yes, I did. I did know. I tried to, right after the first explosion, I actually tried to get up and I was crawling, and Leo kind of climbed on top of me and said, "Stay down, there will be another one." And I knew, because I couldn't get up, that something was wrong with my leg. And Leo also knew as well. You know, he picked me up and carried me. I never looked down or back. And he carried me to his car, and there he wrapped the blanket that we were holding around my leg and then tied it like a tourniquet with his sweatshirt that he took off, and I held my leg kind of in the air in the alley while he moved the police barracks so we could get out. So I remained pretty calm. I was definitely in a state of shock. At one point in time, I did have a little bit of for lack of a better word, I struggled with knowing what was going to happen next. While we were in the private alley, people were just running for their lives.
And I bet that added to the
anxiety, the stress.
The anxiety.
But my phone actually never stopped working, so I got to make a phone call, and I called my sister. I have twin sisters, and I just told her a bomb went off. I'm not sure if I'm going to get out. Tell everyone I love them. That was definitely the most sad and most intense moment of my life.
So you actually did feel like maybe you
might not make it
out?
Yeah, I was losing a lot of blood. I actually didn't look. I looked at the blood around me. You know, laying in your own blood is something I hope no one ever has to experience. Then after that, I was rushed to the emergency room, and I was in good hands. MGH was fabulous. The staff, everyone, my surgeon, Dr. King, Dr. Lowe, Dr. Landman.
So, and then that's when the recovery mode started. So, you know, you survived. So you woke up from surgery.
Yep.
How did that feel to see yourself in a hospital bed alive?
Right.
Made it through.
Well, for 9 days I was at MGH. So I think I was just in a state of shock, but I was surrounded by all the people I love. They came to visit, my sisters, my brother, my best friend Julie stayed by my side the whole time. It was it was tragic, but it, you know, showed how many people care about you and how such a tragic event can bring so many people together.
Definitely.
I left in a wheelchair. I was on crutches shortly after that, and then a month to the day, so May 15th, I started walking. And then about 2 months after that, I started to run.
Were there any moments during any of your therapy where you just wanted to give up?
There were never moments where I wanted to give up, but there were very difficult moments. It was a rocky road, like I said, a lot of anxiety. The mental struggle was a lot worse than the physical. You know, physically, I'm a pusher, so I just kept pushing myself till I could walk, till I could run, till I felt comfortable. Mentally, anxiety in crowds, concerts, bars, really anything, charity events, everything, parking garages, tunnels, airplanes, trains.
Yeah, you just had that paranoia of right?
Every time you're just looking over your shoulder, everyone who has a backpack.
Yeah. So lack of trust with people.
Right. My trust was definitely broken, but I made a decision from the very beginning that I was not going to let that tragic, horrible event define me. And I made that decision from the very beginning, from the moment I was in that hospital bed. I said, this is not going to run my life.
Now, I know you talked about, the anxiety and the fear and all that. What about anger? Did that ever play a role?
Well, I was definitely angry. Definitely angry. I was angry that people had to die. That made me really upset. More than my own physical damage. I would have taken that 3 or 4 times over again at least if they could live. I don't like, death seems so final to me, so that's really what makes me angry, that 3 people died, especially a child, and 2 young women. So that was really upsetting, and obviously the police officer. But in a bizarre way, I forgive, because the bomber who is alive is 19, and the best years of my life were my 20s. So I feel bad for him, bizarrely.
Have you had the chance to attend any of the court hearings at all?
Yes, I did go to the first one. I sat directly behind him, about 2 rows back. It was extremely intense. It was definitely very intense. I attended with other survivors, and I was really nervous. So yes, I did attend, and I'm glad I attended. It was a big part of recovery, almost like facing the demon.
You get to see the person that did this to you.
Right. He just doesn't have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Even though he pled not guilty, to look at him and be like, all these people you hurt, just, it felt good to come eye to eye with him. I'd like to speak with him. I think that would be...
what would you say if you did have that chance to send him a message directly?
What were you thinking? Not look what you did to me, anything. I think, I've come such a long way. I'm a little bit more reformed, but I think a better version of who I was a little bit because of this. So in a way, you only made me a better person, and a stronger person. But why? What was your why? What did that solve for you?
Kaitlynn, thank you so much for inviting us to your home. It was such a pleasure talking to you.